Hey everyone. So some of you might notice that I don't look too healthy right now. Nothing I can do about that right now, but it's okay. Um, you know, I wanted to talk about the drug war in the United States of America and around the world. But mostly in America because we have the opioid epidemic, and I'm gonna say it publicly, it was started by Donald Trump, in order to make money off people's pain. And I want to say the reason why people do drugs is either because they're teenagers and they're just doing it recreationally, they're bored, they're experimenting, or they're in pain. And Trump targeted habitual drug users who are in pain, and he laced their drugs with fentanyl, an addictive drug, and they just kept doing it and doing it, and it's really easy to overdose on fentanyl, as most of you know, and they died. they died. They passed away. Um, and I just want to say I want to insert my dime on the situation. I really think that it's fine to do drugs if you are in pain. Everyone has their vices. Everyone copes with it differently. When the world gets too overwhelming for me, I enjoy the occasional Reese's peanut butter cup, the occasional Snickers when I'm losing weight, too much weight. I think my face got thinner. Yeah, it's getting really thin, and some would say that's a good thing. Some would say that's a bad thing that it happened so fast. I really think it's a bad thing, and I would have liked to do it in a more healthy way, but I didn't really have a choice. But back to drugs, I really think that all drugs should be legalized and decriminalized, at least, and all the drug users should be let out of prison. All the drug dealers that didn't give people fentanyl should be let out of prison as long as they didn't shoot anyone or commit any violent crimes. There's no way President Biden would ever allow anything like that. He's a puppet, he's a bad puppet. It's wrong. It's awful. And I really think there needs to be massive change in this country and around the world to how we deal with people who are on drugs. Me personally, if I knew someone who's on drugs and they were spending all their money on heroin, and I know someone like that, and I'm too tired to help them right now. But if I wasn't, I would change their circumstances so that they would. I'm sorry, I'm just tired. I would change their circumstances so that they would get better and not have to have that vice anymore. Maybe they say, hey, why don't you go to rehab now that your circumstances are kind of different, And most people have childhood trauma that's so severe they end up on drugs. So, it's a very serious problem, and it's not their fault really that they're addicted to this vice. And a lot of angry moms and parents are like, hey, we've got to stop this. How do you stop it? I mean, how do you stop people from being abused, really? You can report it when you see it, maybe that'll help. But honestly, I think America and other countries make too much money off of drugs. Like the CIA confiscates and resells so many drugs that we're just profiting off pain. And I'm saying that it's immoral for us to lock people up over it. I mean, it's just so nakedly obvious that the United States government and other governments are doing this that we should just make it legal and just say, fuck it, it's legal. We're not going to pretend it's illegal anymore. You can tell your kids not to do drugs, and they shouldn't do drugs. They should find more positive vices. But if if a grown adult is in pain and they need help, then why not give them that help? I'm married now, okay? And my wife gave birth to our baby girl on the floor of her apartment. I wasn't there, I was on the phone with her. And she gave birth to our baby girl, Lavender, on the floor of her apartment. She was screaming at me for getting her pregnant. She was cursing at me for getting her pregnant. It was extremely funny and kind of scary. And the emergency doctor had some heroin on them. And she was too weak to deliver the baby, so she administered a small amount of heroin, and it burned off real fast because she was in labor. But it saved her and the baby. So heroin doesn't kill you. It's excessive use of this substance and recreational use of this substance and fentanyl that will kill you. And we could get into Aleister Crowley and how he wrote this pamphlet called The Mastery of Drugs. And he was a fucking addict. He was a loser. He was an addict. He sacrificed animals and people. He was a crazy person. We could get into that, but I really don't think drugs should be illegal because people are just going to do them anyway. It's like prohibition with alcohol. And they're in pain, and they need something to help them. And the government wants more people. They keep saying, hey, have more kids, America. There was someone from the Trump White House, I believe. I could be mistaken about this. Don't quote me on this. Someone from the Trump White House went to a bunch of high schoolers and said, get married and have lots of kids. Well, instead of waiting for future generations to come about, why don't you focus on keeping adults alive by selling them safe drugs instead of dangerous ones? Because they're adding to the economy by buying drugs and working really, really hard to afford these drugs. So once again, the government and the people and the angry parents are just shooting themselves in the foot. We should make drugs legal. And I'm not going to do them. I might enjoy the occasional Reese's or the occasional Snickers bar. But, you know, I'm not a drug addict. And maybe I deserve to be a drug addict. Maybe I'm so troubled and fucked up in the head, and I've had so much history with various substances that I will not name right now, but I named in my last video at the end, that maybe I deserve to be a drug addict. Maybe I've earned it. Maybe I should sniff some coke or heroin or do crystal meth and destroy my brain and body. But I'm not going to do that. But other people are. Let them have drugs. That's my dime on the situation. Leia signing out. Goodbye.